You know, we're not that far into 2025, and I've only pinned down a couple of albums for full reviews so far, but my god, the bar that Canadian prog rock virtuoso Jacob Roberge has set with this highly ambitious debut album is so far above the current competition that it might as well be in outer sodding space. This is an absolutely unmissable slice of modern prog rock excellence that you cannot afford to miss. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, my name is Ian, this is Rhyme Signatures, and we are once again opening the lid on the best new releases in prog rock and metal.
Colors will fade, becoming the fall. Cold on the shade, their roots will stand tall. Long is their man.
Right, so you know how I always seem to insist I'm bringing you the best new releases in prog rock and metal? I realised the other day it's kind of weird to me that I lead that with rock instead of metal, as, let's be honest with each other, I'm a metal guy, you know? I like to headbang, throw the horns, get lost in a sea of aggressive riffing, demonic growling vocals and blast beats, etc, etc. It's my bread and butter, and it pretty much always has been. Nevertheless, though, I am a man of two sides, and while prog rock is most assuredly the smaller of these, it nevertheless commands an important part of my musical identity. So while I may not ever be the first person you come to for opinions about the Flower Kings, IQ, Wobbler, or whatever other prog rock band, modern or otherwise, you care to name, that doesn't mean I'm not secretly listening and appreciating it in the background. There are times, though, where a prog rock album comes along that is so extraordinary, so life-affirming and brilliant, that to keep silent about it would be actively damaging to the community at large. This is one such time. Jacob Roberge has unleashed his debut album, The Passing, and I mince not my words here when I would call this the best modern prog rock album since Neil Morse's Sola Scriptura. You know, that one album that's casually hanging out in my literal favourite records of all time. Now, the promo inbox is a fickle beast, and it can be hard to decide what to pick and choose to listen from it. I am, at the end of the day though, just a one-man operation. I do everything here myself. I listen to the music, figure out where it sits for me, script these reviews, film them, edit them, upload them, and hope that it reaches an audience of some sorts. But while the end result of this channel is for me to do these reviews for me, I am truly and sincerely doing this review for all of you, because I feel so passionately about this album that I am desperate for it to reach a much wider audience. So come sit with me whilst we deconstruct this stunning modern masterpiece together. Right, okay. I've reviewed a lot of albums on this channel since I started doing this back in 2022, you know, and every single time I sit down to talk about new music, I'm always like, how the actual balls do I kick this off? Do I go down the route of superlative praise? Do I wax lyrical about a barely related anecdote? Do I do a track-by-track review? Do I go with my heart and attempt to externalise the complicated web of emotions elicited by the music I've been filling myself up with? It's a challenge for sure, and sometimes the better the album is, the more difficult it can be for me to put into words how I'm actually feeling. So I'm going to do my best here, as The Passing has left me a helpless, overloaded mess of excitement. Such is the testament to how good this record is. So let's touch on the cornerstones. Do you like Neil Morse? Great, me too. Go and listen to this right now, as Jacob Roberge has officially released the best Neil Morse album of all time. No, I'm not kidding. Right now, if you presented me with copies of Testimony, Sola Scriptura, The Similitude of a Dream, Question Mark, you know, all those good ones, I'm going for The Passing above all of them. I mean, sure, this could just be the honeymoon period speaking, but what Roberge has done with this album is give me that feeling of familiarity from Neil's best works, but amped it up to a level that we haven't seen yet from anyone else in the modern prog rock space. This is going to feel like a record right at home for the Morsean faithful, but there's hints and elements of Steven Wilson's solo career, or Pink Floyd, the Flower Kings, Gandalf's Fist, Porcupine Tree, Mike Oldfield, and many more besides. But rather than feeling like a cheap imitation, Roberge has crafted a sound that feels unique to him in spite of these numerous influences. I'm an especially big fan of the way the orchestral elements are woven into the fabric of the music. It's absolutely haunting, never feeling overbearing or verging into the face of a film score, but still managing to push things forwards to a kind of grandiosity that even the most overblown and pompous of modern progressive rock fails at. It's subtle when it's needed to be, it's in your face and maximalist when the moment calls for it. These orchestrations never feel unwelcome, never extending past their boundaries, and are absolutely the little bit of secret sauce that makes the passing such an enthralling listen. Now, when I first checked out the promo, I was immediately intrigued by the album structure. 6 songs long, 64 minutes in length, one mini epic of 10.5 minutes, 4 shorter tracks between 5 and 6 minutes, and then hello, what have we got here? A closing title track, you say? A closing title track of 32 minutes? Between this and the press release name-dropping some of my favourite acts in progressive rock, I was convinced this was either going to be one of two things. A hot, steaming mess of poorly produced, self-indulgent wankery, or one of the best-sounding things I've ever committed to my headphones. You can probably guess that I feel it's more of the latter, and you'd be right. It didn't take much time into the first track of The Long Way Home to convince me that hanging around for the whole show was going to be well worth my time and investment. And by the time I reached the penultimate song of Empty Traces Part 2, I was thinking, you know, if this was just an EP of 32 minutes long, this could very easily be the EP of the year. It's great. But we have a whole ass epic to go that's as long as the 5 tracks I've just listened to. Now, we'll touch on the epic in just a moment, but I kind of want to take a little tiny bit to discuss the aforementioned 5-track run. Jacob's vocals are a huge sell on this album and continue to convince me that these multi-instrumentalist singer-songwriters are the biggest blessing to our little corner of the musical landscape. As let me tell you something, Jacob absolutely kills it here. Not only are his compositions interesting and varied, managing to be both simultaneously catchy and unpredictable, his instrumental chops via keyboard and drums are equally as good as his soulful crooning. But he's brought some friends along for the ride, the most notable of whom is William Gabbery on guitars and bass, amongst other contributions. And honestly, just wow. Just wow. If ever there was someone to be in the running to be standing toe-to-toe with Eric Gillette in terms of greatest modern prog rock guitarist, then Gabbery has got to be it. His tone is warm and inviting, his playing immaculate, able to switch up from delicate and introspective leads to crunching riff-heavy rockers with the flick of a switch. There's not a single song on this album where the guitars didn't take my breath away. It felt like I was listening to 90s Dream Theater for the very first time. There's so much going on, but it's all so tastefully done, requiring an attentive ear, sure, for full appreciation, as frankly it's the nuance and subtleties to the playing that mark this out above similar releases from adjacent bands. But that's just the passing in general. From the gorgeous chorus of Garden of Souls to the complex and intimate Petrichor to the moving and emotional 2-part Empty Traces, there's just an overwhelming abundance of modern prog rock trickery going on here that it's difficult to know which to heap most praise on first. Although, okay, yeah, let's get to it though. The first 5 tracks are great, fantastic even, but it's the epic that makes this record the crown jewel, the shining beacon that reduces me to hysterical screaming and emotional manly tears every single time I listen to it. The epic track is what we know prog rock for, a song that exceeds 20 minutes in length. Show the average Joe and they'll probably run a mile. But we prog rock fans know the truth. That's where the real stuff lies. That's where all the creativity and passion belongs, and mother of God above, you are not ready for the journey that the title track of The Passing is about to take you on. First off, there's one thing I love more than anything else on songs of this magnitude, and that's the ability to establish the driving theme right off the bat, which The Passing wastes no time in doing. That opening melody, get familiar with it because you're going to hear it a lot, but it's how incredibly well it's implemented that helps to make this such an experience. According to the liner notes, this track explores the 5 stages of grief, and context of this really does help set the mood and tone for the music. The opening overture is a long-form instrumental section where everyone involved gets the opportunity to go absolutely ham on their weapons of choice. It does bring up memories of classic Neil Morse epics like Seeds of Gold, The Door, World Without End, and Alive Again, but this is still most assuredly its own beast. The balance between the blistering intro that effortlessly segues into moments of extreme vulnerability, punctuated again by that driving central melody, is spine-chilling. It's constantly shifting and evolving, but never feels like it's rushing to get past each idea. Everything feels fully fleshed out. Each piece and segment is here for precisely how long it needs to be, never leaving you unsatisfied, as there's always something else equally stunning waiting just around the corner. Now, the problem I often find with prog rock epics is they can at times feel meandering, like a really good soup of ideas that haven't been threaded properly together, leading to an experience that has moments of brilliance but lacks a coherent whole. This is precisely the opposite for The Passing. It is so well put together, so well executed and performed that the 32 minutes just melts away into nothing, and before you know it, you're hitting the repeat button as you can't wait to experience it all over again. It's the layering, how well each section complements each other, that makes this so remarkable. Each crescendo builds upon the last, so by the time you reach the inevitable conclusion, you're left exhausted but extremely satisfied. It's the prog rock equivalent of a 15-course Michelin-star banquet. Every mouthful is exquisite, every pairing painstakingly picked out and meticulously laid out in front of you in the most elegant order. It's an easy pick for prog rock epic of the year and possibly epic of the decade so far. A near-perfect end to a near-perfect album. Okay, so I was talking with a friend of mine the other day about pasta, okay? And we ended up getting into a spirited debate about what pasta shapes lie in the overall tier listing. Now, I put forward the argument that farfalle pasta is absolute bottom of the barrel trash, and I just kind of want to explain myself in that regard. So it's cute and fun to look at, right? It's like a little bow tie or a butterfly, whatever. Sure, okay, it's aesthetically pleasing, but let's consider the practical applications of this ridiculously stupid food item. So, you're cooking it, right? And you're a civilized person, right? You're going to want it al dente, aren't you? Because you're not some sort of heinous monster and you actually like food, right? Well, guess what? Farfalle actively says, fuck you to any chef, because that little pinched bit in the middle, well, that's as hard as a rock, whilst the rest of the damn thing is floppy and disgusting. And also, let's consider sauce retention. God tier pasta like rigatone, concile, and fusilli will grip or scoop up that sauce like an absolute beast. It's the best friend to your amazing flavours, and they rightly have their spot at the top of the pile. Farfalle? This bullshit just has sauce drip right off it like it's goddamn afraid of it. Like, excuse me, you little bow-tie-shaped bastard, I didn't slave over a hot stove for 2 hours crafting God's own pasta sauce for your little bitch ass to run away from it like you're the three little pigs escaping the big bad wolf. Excuse me, farfalle, get in the bin, you wank-grade, ridiculous idiot creation taking up shelf space in the supermarket from dramatically superior pasta shapes. You should be ashamed of yourself. And another thing... Wait, no. Hang on. Oh, for God's sake. I'm so sorry. I'm getting crossover from my possibly planned second channel, the cooking-based time signatures. Oh, shoot, right, yeah. Negatives about Jacob Roberge's The Passing. Okay, right,
soul, it seems, now imprisoned in an endless river stream. Only hope for life or peace.
So, what else can I possibly say about Jacob Roberge's The Passing? This is early days into 2025, I know, and this record has only been out for about a week and a half since it came out. But mother of God, I am struggling to listen to anything else right now. This really is about as perfect as a modern prog rock album can get, and for this to be Roberge's debut album, this guy's going places. He's still young, and the smattering of ideas and creativity that he's brought to bear on this record is nothing short of astonishing. For me, to be this excited about a prog rock album, you know it's got to be something special. I'm in truth often left cold by the modern prog rock scene, but that's mostly on me. I'm a metalhead, but even I need to rest my neck muscles from time to time. The Passing is a masterpiece in every sense of the word. I cannot recommend enough that you pick up a physical copy of this one. Got mine on order. I had to get it sent to a friend who lives in California, as shipping to the UK was sadly not an option. But the fact that I'm going through the rigmarole of having to get this to a third party to get it to me, as well as apparently being the first person outside of Quebec, let alone outside of Canada, to have ordered this on CD, makes me feel somewhat special. But come on guys, let's make sure this album reaches all corners of the world. Do whatever you can, get the word out, tell your family, tell your friends, tell frankly everyone you meet. Jacob Roberge has released possibly the prog rock album of 2025 already. This is all, of course, guys, just my opinion, so if you loved or hated this one, please talk to me about your experiences with the album in the comments down below. Please do drop me a thumbs up if you liked the video, please do tell your friends about little old me, and please do throw me a subscription if you've been enjoying my content so far. But until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures pretty odd.